Hello, and welcome to a live Deprogrammed with Keri Smith. I'm your host, Keri. Welcome. Today is Monday, January 13th. I hope you're having a great beginning of the new year. We certainly are. If you are in Texas and you haven't been, I would highly recommend visiting Stephenville. We got to go to Stephenville this weekend. My husband had a show there, and we went to the show was as part of this museum. It was in an old church called the Chapel on the Bosque. It was beautiful, and there's a lot of the museum we didn't get to see yet. But one of the things I love about my husband's job doing music is that we get to travel a lot, and we get to travel a lot in Texas, outside the state, and abroad. But in Texas, there's so many of these great towns to visit, and they all have these cute town squares. And if you're in Texas, you know what I'm talking about. They're just, every time you go to a new town, you're like, oh my goodness, it's adorable. So yeah, Stephenville, that was a lot of fun. So yeah, go and visit if you haven't been there yet. Okay, today we're going to be talking about Mr. Andrew Tate. I know I've done a video on him before. It's been a while, and I did mention him briefly in the last video about how it's okay to kink shame and to call out evil and degeneracy when you see it. And I didn't think I needed to do kind of an in-depth look at him again, because I thought it was pretty common knowledge who and what this man is now. But this story, this event just kind of erupted online. He was recently on a very popular, very influential podcast. Now, I wasn't that familiar with this guy beforehand. I've seen his stuff here and there. I think I've probably shared his stuff. He does a lot of videos and stuff. His name is Benny Johnson, but I wasn't very familiar with him until this happened. And then I started doing a deep dive on him as well. So this guy, Benny Johnson, who's very successful and like he has a large platform and a lot of, I guess you would say, cultural influence. He just had Andrew Tate on his show, and the way that he promoted it was pretty gross. It wasn't some sort of investigative, journalism where he's sitting down and asking him questions about the pending charges against him for sex trafficking and sexual acts with minors. Didn't ask him any of that. No, he presented it in this cool kind of, this is going to be cool. And, he did this graphic with the two of them wearing cool sunglasses. I'll show it to you. And it was just presented in this sort of praising him sort of way, like very excited to have this degenerate on his show. And Benny Johnson, if you don't know, apparently puts himself out there as a conservative, as a Christian, as a family man, and he's bringing on this abuser of women, this groomer of women. These are things he brags about himself on camera, Andrew Tate: grooming women, abusing women, pimping women. He brags about that quite a bit, being a pimp, scamming men, making sure he helps men part with their money by giving it to him. And he brought this guy on. Benny Johnson has daughters. He has daughters. And he brought this piece of shit on his show. So people, rightfully so, I was actually pleasantly surprised to see that there were loads of people, of regular people, pushing back on this and expressing their disappointment with Benny. And I'm assuming a lot of these are regular people who watch his show, who were upset with it. Like, why would you bring him on? And so there was quite a bit of pushback in his comments. And since that happened, it's become apparent that there are some people who call themselves conservatives and call themselves Christians, and some of them are very large accounts. Like, they have large influence, they have large platforms. People like Benny Johnson, people like Candace Owens. There are some people who are determined to praise this predator, Andrew Tate, to praise him, to prop him up, to push him on the masses, to try and associate him with MAGA, to try and associate him with Trump. So leftists try to associate Andrew Tate with Trump, But these guys, these so-called conservatives and Christians with large platforms, some of them are also trying to associate him with MAGA and with Trump, and are trying to push him on people as if he's some kind of role model for men, or a strong alpha male. And it became very apparent in what unfolded online that if you were one of the many voices who was disappointed with this and wondering, what the heck's going on, that they were going to say that you're a problem, that you're a problem for having principles, for having moral standards, for having Christian values, for having conservative values, that's somehow a problem for conservatism. That if you use your free speech to say, I find this deeply disappointing, why would you do this? That if you use your free speech to say that somehow you're against free speech. That's seriously, that these are the allegations they were making. And so this has been very eye-opening for me and for many people. It's been another one of these sort of great revealings about people. And I'm glad that I learned more about some of these folks. I'm glad that I learned more about Mr. Johnson, Benny Johnson. And when I was sort of adding my 2 cents of what I thought about this, and how could you not, why is this even a question that this guy is a degenerate and not someone who should be looked up to and praised and admired? There were some people, especially on Facebook, not on Twitter, but on Facebook, there were several people who rushed in to defend Andrew Tate as if he's a strong role model for men. And what I was saying is this, and this is I believe this is absolutely true. If you think Andrew Tate is a strong role model, a strong male role model, it is obvious to everyone else that you've never ever had a strong male role model in your life, and it shows. If you think that is what a strong male character is, a strong male role model, you've never had one. And that's sad. One of the things I was saying is that I understand why some of these young men, and it seems to be mostly young men, I'm calling them tater tots, by the way. I was calling them tater heads, and somebody said, no, you should call them tater tots. That's even funnier because they behave a little bit like toddlers. But it's, I think a lot of them are young. I think a lot of them are fatherless. They haven't had, as I mentioned, a strong male role model in their life. They don't know what a good man is, what a strong man is. And they've unfortunately been growing up in this society, this culture that's been completely toxically feminized. You could phrase it that way. That has demonized masculinity and demonized the traditional family, and demonized fathers, and they've grown up in this culture that's just pushed down and discriminated against men. And so they're desperately looking, a lot of these guys didn't grow up with dads in the home. They're looking desperately for a father figure. That's the only way in which I think you could look to someone like him, this online grifting snake oil salesman who has made his name and his station in life off of prostituting women, pimping women, taking advantage of women and men, scamming men and making fun of them for giving him, in some cases, their life savings. He talks about. So that's the only way you could think that is a strong man, that's a man that you should emulate, is if you've never had one in your life and you're living in a culture that demonizes masculinity. And so you don't know what it is. And you're desperately looking, and you find this Pied Piper, you find this false representation of masculinity. Andrew Tate, somebody said, and forgive me, I forget who it was, said he's sort of he is to masculinity what feminists are to femininity. It's a joke, it's actually about the destruction of masculinity. He's not strong, he's weak. He's not humble, he's full of hubris. He's full of ego, which is fragile. We're going to take a look at his words. All of this to say, because there were more people than I expected at least on the Facebook platform, who either haven't looked at his videos, they don't know what he says, or they have and they're trying to whitewash him for the masses. I don't know, but either way, I figured, okay, they're hoping that good people haven't done their research on this parasite, and maybe many people haven't, because the videos are kind of disgusting. So I'm going to warn you up front. We're going to watch some pretty gross, I would say, pretty vile stuff from this guy Andrew Tate. And it's directly from the horse's mouth. We're going to watch it from his mouth. We're going to look at what he says and what he does on camera, and the stuff he posts on X. And it was funny because something I've noticed before we get into this, the videos, I just want to say, as I mentioned, I've noticed that there's two types of people who are trying to falsely associate Tate with Trump. And those are leftists, woke people. And those are these like so-called conservative Christian influencers. And I've seen some of them saying stuff like, oh, he's just like Tate. You're about to see Trump's lawyer saying this. He's just like Trump. Oh, false accusations. And you could say any of these things that you're saying about Tate, about Trump. Well, I guess you could. It's a free country. You could say them. They would be lies. Show me the videos of Trump bragging about beating the fuck out of women, about how to punch a woman's face in, how to collapse her face, the videos about how to get men to give you all their money, how to control women. Show me the videos of Trump beating women on camera. Some of these women being minors, actually. Show me the sex trafficking charges against Trump. Like, it would be lies to say these things about Trump. And anybody who's trying to associate these two guys with one another is lying to you. And I don't care if they're a leftist or if they're one of these so-called conservative Christians with large platforms. It's a very interesting thing that's happening. So we're going to watch the videos. And the reason we're doing so is because I saw someone else say, oh, well, don't believe the press. Don't believe the press about Tate. What press? I'm not talking about the press. I believe Tate. I believe what I see him saying and doing in the videos. So we're going to take a look at those. I wanted to start with this. My friend Eva, you guys may remember I interviewed her a while back about gender ideology. Eva Kurylova. And the title of today's video actually it comes from her. She made me think of this. So I just wanted to show you what she said about it. On the positive side, there have been a lot of people like Eva, and a lot of people like the Babylon Bee. All the guys at the Babylon Bee have just been amazing, pushing back against this. There have been a lot of people who are standing up and saying this is disgusting. And that's been great to see as well. So it's certainly not the majority of so-called influencers who are defending him. It's just a few key people, as far as I can tell. Okay, so this is what Eva said. She said, Andrew Tate is the easiest moral test ever devised. If you think there's anything valuable about him, you failed. Thank you. Yes, exactly. My thoughts exactly. So today's video, I was just thinking, he's a perfect moral litmus test. If you don't have any sense of right and wrong or good and evil, of how to live a moral, principled life, a good life, a strong life, then you're going to look at a man like him and be like, well, what's the big deal? So it's a good litmus test about where people stand. I agree with her. Let me take this down. Okay. Hello. Oh, there's a lot of people. Hi, guys. John said, will Benny apologize or double down? His response will be telling. Well, John, very disappointing. What he's been doing the past 3 days or so is doubling down. So let me get into some of that. I'll show you that, and then we're going to watch some of the videos. So first of all, so that you have context, this is what one of the top, I guess, the top so-called conservative Christian podcasters, this is how he promoted it. This is his announcement from January 9th. And he said, announcement. By the way, I've since learned a lot about Benny Johnson. As I said, I didn't know a lot about him before. You can go and look this up. This is, it would take us down a whole nother path to do a video about him. But what I learned about him since this happened, I was trying to figure out, who is this guy? Why would he do this? How does he have such bad judgment? What I learned is that he was fired from BuzzFeed. He used to work for BuzzFeed. He was fired from BuzzFeed for multiple instances of plagiarism. So he was constantly plagiarizing. And when they were confronted with all the evidence, BuzzFeed fired him and made an announcement. He made an announcement about it at the time. You can go back and read all of that. Since then, he's been accused by several small channels. I didn't know this either, but smaller channels, conservative channels, of stealing from them constantly. And looks like that those allegations are true. He takes their videos, the people that do like the short, popular kind of viral videos, he takes their videos sometimes with their commentary, and he cuts it up and he puts his watermark on it, and then he releases it. So he steals all the time. He's also one of these guys on Twitter who always does the little red flashing light, like the engagement farming thing. And this one says announcement, but he does a lot that says breaking news. He does the breaking news. And it's like, it's always somebody else's video or somebody else's news story. And it's him saying breaking news. And he also does those kind of things of like, what do you notice? And what do you see? Like the kind of, the questions that people have begun mocking now that are meant to, just get a lot of comments, I guess. So the more I've learned about this guy, there's a bunch of other stuff, rumors. I'm not going to repeat those because those are rumors. And that's not what I'm about. But the plagiarism stuff, you can look it up. There's receipts. The theft of smaller conservative channels' videos, you can look that up. They have the receipts. All of this was new to me, but it painted I would say more of a full picture for me, or of who this guy is. So here's what he says. He says, announcement: Andrew Tate will join the Benny Show live tomorrow to discuss Trump's political persecution. So he didn't bring him on to talk about his pending criminal charges in Romania for sex trafficking and sex acts with minors. No, he brought him on to just do political commentary. He's all excited and tune in live. And then he has a picture of the two of them with these cool glasses and fire behind them with, the crying leftists in the glasses. So it's like, we're here to destroy the libs kind of thing. And, this is not something an investigative journalist would do. So it tells you right away that's not it's not like an interview where he's sitting down and saying, hey, tell me the full story. If you claim you're innocent of these charges, which Tate does, let's talk about. No, that's not what this was about. It was about whitewashing this guy. It was about rehabilitating his image and trying to make him seem cool and trying to sell him to conservatives and trying to align him with MAGA and with Trump in some way. So this is the way he promoted it. Now, he got a ton of pushback. I was pleasantly surprised to see that. Lots of people, many of whom I guess were familiar with Benny, and maybe, like viewers of his show, like I say, he's got a very popular show. They were all in the comments like, what are you doing? Why are you propping up this predator? And here's one of the funny things I saw. Let me just share this. This is a spoof that someone named X Josh made just to kind of try and show what it's on par with if you had done this. He goes, this is a joke, of course, but he says, huge congrats to Benny Johnson for landing this killer interview with Harvey Weinstein. Nobody has stuck it to the elite Hollywood libs harder than him, right where it hurts. And then he puts a fake he puts this fake Bible verse in it, and it was said unto them, in prosperity lies the sweet taste of vengeance. Harvey Weinstein. And it's the same image, but with Harvey, just to kind of show you like what that image of him and Tate felt like to a lot of people when they saw it. It was just this sort of like, what are you doing? Okay. Since John asked about how this guy, Benny, responded to the criticism, well, in the midst of it, he put up this picture, said, what a fun day on the internet. And it's him. And there's the Tate in the middle. Look at that fine specimen of alpha male right there. I'm sorry. He just looks, that's a pretty bad photo of him. It's a pretty bad screen grab of him. I'm pointing that out because Andrew Tate is currently in the middle of, he's always mocking the way people look and stuff. And he's currently in the middle of, he's been doxing this guy, one of his critics, some guy named Petey. He's been doxing his 10-year-old daughter and posting pictures of that guy's 10-year-old daughter repeatedly and calling her ugly and saying all other kinds of gross things about this 10-year-old. So it's sort of like, who are you? You're picking on a little girl and look at you here. But anyway, so Benny posted this, what a fun day on the internet. And this was a screen grab from the Tate appearance on his program, of course. And the woman on the right there is one of Trump's lawyers. It's Alina Habba. And I want to show you that little clip because people were also extremely disappointed with her appearing with this predator and praising him and batting her eyes and seeming to be very flirtatious and, complimentary. Here, I'll show you this one. This is the gist of what some people had to say about it. This is a guy called Apostate Prophet. He says, Donald Trump's top legal advisor, Alina Habba, who is married and has 2 children, flirts with Andrew Tate and compares him to Donald Trump. Andrew Tate is a mass pornographer, an abuser, a scammer, a rapist, and a sex trafficker. This only discredits Trump. She must be fired. And so he put up this image of the 2 of them from the show. And so there are people calling for Trump to fire her. And honestly, I don't think that's a bad idea. If someone shows such poor judgment as to drag their boss's name, to drag Trump's name anywhere close to this guy, Andrew Tate, it's not someone, if I were him, it's not someone I would want out there representing me or want speaking on my behalf in public in any capacity. Just terrible judgment. So that's an example of what a lot of people had to say about her. Let's just watch the clip with her and you can make up your own mind. Hold on. Hey, little ragamuffins here. Hey, what's up? And Jacob Castro, we are simulcasting over on Rumble. Hey, Jacob. Texas Sheep Lady says, yes, get rid of that woman now. Yeah, I agree because I'm about to show you the clip of the 2 of them, and which has caused a lot of criticism, of course, from MAGA, who are like, why would Trump's lawyer do this? Look, it's just playing right into what the woke want, right into the left's hand, because the left are out here trying to associate Trump with bad characters like this guy. So, for example, there were numerous headlines like this right after it happened. This one is from Yahoo. Oh, it's so gross. And the Daily Beast. You see that? Trump's lawyer. This is headlines. Trump's lawyer drools over accused sex trafficker and rapist Andrew Tate. And they've got the screen grab there. And this is how the leftists, this is how the machine, the corporate media, the woke, this is how they're loving it. They're loving it. They've seem to have a lot in common with these so-called conservative, so-called Christian, high influence platforms that are celebrating Tate. Like they all want to somehow link Tate to Trump. They have that in common with each other. It's weird, right? So they're excited about it. Trump's lawyer drools over accused sex trafficker. Let's watch the video. So Cooked Goose in Florida says Alina Habba is an idiot and Trump is a sorry. See, I'm confusing them. Alina Habba is an idiot and Tate is a pervert. I would say both of those things are true based on this judgment call. And so they shared this, the video clip. This is someone named Lucy Brown shared it and said Trump's attorney and senior advisor, Alina Habba, appeared on Benny Johnson's show tonight expressing sympathy for Andrew Tate, saying that she's a, quote, big fan and that she's, quote, got his back. This is alarming. Supporting a man accused of rape and human trafficking, including minors, will damage the MAGA movement irreparably. Shocking lack of judgment from a lawyer. Even without the sound on, look at the way her body language and how she's interacting with him.
Andrew, we're
going to listen to it now.
A special guest that is joining us right now, somebody who noticed that you would be on our show and wanted to say hello. This is the attorney for President Trump, somebody who has been a fighter for the America First Party. Her name is Alina Habba, and she joins us live right now.
Hi.
Hello, Alina.
Hi.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. I'm a big fan.
Well, nice to meet you. I'm a fan. You're the one saving Trump. You're doing
more
work than me.
America, not just Trump. And I agree with everything you just said. And I think that your anger is the same that President Trump has for our country. And
see how she's linking the two of them right off the bat? Oh, she continues to link the two of them as if they're the same.
The time is now for us to stop being wimps. I think that's exactly the right sentiment. And I also have to say that I sympathize with you because I think you go through a lot of the same show me the person, I'll find the crime that President Trump has gone through. And it's ironic that Benny has you on today because, as you know, President Trump just got sentenced in what literally will be one of the most tragic stories in American history and democracy and the justice system that I used to be proud of being a part of. But I agree with everything you say, and I have your back out here.
I agree with everything you say. Do you even hear yourself, lady? Do you know what we're about to listen to? Some things that he likes to say. Just keep that in mind. Trump's lawyer. I agree with everything you say, Andrew Tate. I'm a big fan.
In the States. And when I saw that you were going to be on, I said to Benny, I have to meet Andrew Tate. There is literally only one person with the same amount of anger and fire, and that's probably me and President Trump. But it's because you love what's right. And
you love what's right. Like right and good, right? You love what's right and good. Really? We're about to watch him in his own words. And you tell me if what he's doing and telling you about on camera and showing you on camera and beating women on camera is right and good. For men, for women, for families, for society, for anyone, for all of us.
Being under siege, and I see it, and just keep fighting. I mean, I'm here for it. You know, there is no time anymore for weakness. We are being destroyed, and we need strong, powerful voices like yours. And yeah, I got your back over here.
Wow. We need strong, powerful voices. That's true. We need strong, powerful voices. Not like his, though. She says we're being destroyed. We are. We're being destroyed first by the breakdown of the traditional family, the building block of society. And it's coming from the left. And it's coming from people who say that they're conservatives, that they're a conservative. People like Benny Johnson here platforming this guy. You want to talk about attacks on masculinity, femininity, the traditional family? Look no further. You got one sitting right there. His name is Andrew Tate.
Well, I tell you, if I ever get stateside, and I think I will sooner or later, if I ever need a lawyer, I'll be calling your phone. But you know, it's very important. It's very important.
So that was the clip. with, whew, I almost don't have words for it, that Trump's lawyer could go out there and represent him in that way. And I agree with Pete. John says, why are people calling for firings and stuff? Well, I think it would be a very wise move to fire her, to show that no, we don't have anything in common, that Trump's team doesn't have anything in common with Tate, and that this guy is no part of MAGA. This guy is no conservative. He's not about making the family great again. Force of Light Entertainment's here. Hey, Michelle, good to see you. Thank you for the super chat for $1.99. She says, political brain rot is real, easily manipulated. Yes, it's amazing, isn't it? This is a time for discernment. This is a time for discernment. One of the people who was arguing with me about this online said, well, they make up false allegations all the time. You know, that look what they did to Trump. And I was like, yeah, I've seen that. Those charges they brought against him, they were trumped up. I looked into it. It was all bogus. I also saw what they did to Kavanaugh. They tried to destroy that man, an innocent man. I've seen that. Yes, people do make false allegations. You know what? People also make true allegations. Discernment calls for us not to pretend that all allegations are true or that all allegations are false, but to look at the facts of the matter and to use wisdom and common sense and reality, living in reality and judgment, to come to your opinion. And it doesn't rely on us doing some kind of weird, I guess they're pushing for some weird tribalism thing now, because they're saying things to me like, oh, well, but you know, Tate criticized COVID policy like you did. Yeah, great. I'm glad he did. That's a good thing. Does that make him a positive, strong male role model, or somebody worth emulating, or somebody I would ever associate with, given everything else that I know about him? No. That's insane. Jimmy Savile, you remember that guy in Britain, the prolific pedophile? He did a lot of charity work. Ted Bundy volunteered at suicide hotlines, like he was helping people who were calling in. John Wayne Gacy performed as a clown at children's birthday parties and made people laugh and smile. Keith Olbermann is always on Twitter trying to get dogs adopted. Hitler was a pretty good painter. You know, Andrew Tate said some things I agree with about COVID and about getting fit. Do you think that con artists don't ever say something that's true? Of course they do. That's why you're getting conned. Every con artist, every cult leader, every tyrant says some things that are true or creates. Harvey Weinstein gave tons of money to charity. Robert De Niro gives a ton to charity. Look at these figures. Like, of course, Gavin Newsom is a pretty decent photographer. Do you think that con artists and charlatans don't construct a public mask, and that it requires discernment to look at the fruits of a person, to look at how they live in the world, how do they behave in the world? So that just blows my mind when people can look at all of this and like, he is an admitted abuser of women, a pimp, he prostitutes women, he parts men from their money, he brags about scamming men and getting some men to send in their life savings to him. He brags about this. He beats women on camera, some of them minors. He sells courses to loser men about how to become a pimp and to control women and beat the F out of them. And he does all of that, but you're telling me he's on my side, or that he's somehow a conservative or cares about making things right because he said some things that I think are true about authoritarian COVID policy. Nuh-uh. No wonder you're being conned. If you think, oh, a con artist always says things that are false. I'm never gonna fall for one. Like, God. Wow. My thoughts exactly, Elizabeth. Tate is despicable. Oh, wow. Sorry, I've missed a couple super chats. We're about to get into his videos now. Let me just thank a couple people. Randy Wallen, good to see you, Randy. Randy for $5. He says Tate is evil. Those that align with him are the same. Benny, Candace, et al. Are engagement farming. They just want clicks. Despicable. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I didn't know much about Benny before this, and now I know enough to I know enough not to put any faith or trust or respect in anything he says. I don't think I don't know. I don't think he's an honest person. I don't think he gives a crap, really. I think he's just, maybe at one point he did. I don't know if enough about his background to know if he like changed over time or what. But to prop this predator up, and then when he gets pushback for it, instead of reflecting like a person of integrity would do, but instead of reflecting, he just doubles down. I'm about to show you some of the stuff he said and did afterwards. It's just so disappointing. So I'm glad I know that about him now. Candace Owens, I quit following her last year. The Tate stuff was bad enough. She did entire videos propping the Tate brothers up. MilkBarTV, you should go and check out MilkBarTV on YouTube. They've got tons of footage of Tate, hours and hours of footage. I'm just going to show you a few clips, but they've got entire rebuttals to her defending these abusers of women, these sexual abusers of women. That was enough for me. But throw on top of it her crazy flat earth stuff, her anti-Semitism, her all of the recent insane stuff she's been doing. I don't think she's a sincere person at all. So great. I'm glad I know that. Another person off my list. And it's so funny because one of the things that the Tate brothers, there's two of them, by the way, the Tate brothers have been saying the past 3 days. I saw somebody shared this on X, and it was the brother, I think, Tristan Tate, and he was saying, all of these people complaining and criticizing me and Andrew, they're just jealous, and they would have us on their podcast in a second. If they've got podcasts, they would have us on in a second. Even if it was just to argue with us, they would, if we offered to come on, they would. No way. That also tells me a lot about you. That you have no principles, that there's nothing more important to you than fame or clicks or having a big name come on your show. So you think everybody's like that. That's not true. That's not true. You know who cares about that kind of stuff are the people who will not criticize the big podcast, or the people who are like, I don't know, privately will say stuff like, Candace Owens kind of off a rocker. But publicly, they're too afraid to say anything because I guess they're hoping that one day, maybe she could do something for me. Like, no, I don't want someone who I find despicable to do anything for me. I don't want to be associated with them in any way. Nil. But people who are all about that, they always think everybody's like them. They're always like, and so they tell you a lot about themselves because they'll say like, oh, they would have us on as, I guess that's what you're like, dude. I guess it's unfathomable to you that somebody would say, no, thank you. Randy Wallen, again, thank you, Randy, for the $5 super chat, says, Candace Owens flamed out at Prager, TPUSA, and the Daily Wire. She's flirting with the devil just to keep her career moving forward. Yeah. She's actually, I've watched her over the past year, and I couldn't believe it at first, what was happening. She's someone I used to respect, or thought I did, without knowing her. I liked some of her commentary. I liked a lot of her, I shared a lot of her videos, but I started to notice that she was courting these groper types, the Nick Fuentes, the racists, the anti-Semites. And I'm like, what is she doing? And at the same time, putting forward this mask of Christianity while behaving the furthest thing from it. And I find that it makes me want to vomit. And the more I saw of that, it was like, okay, at some point I was like, I just have to tune out of this person. I can't. I agree with you. I get the same gut check on her, Randy. Force of Light Entertainment for $4.99. Hey, Michelle again says Tate appeals to 15-year-olds or emotionally stunted men. Yes, I get the impression that most of the tater tots are very young men, and sort of like we've created this generation of Peter Pans who've grown up in this culture, this woke culture where masculinity is demonized, and a lot of them don't have father figures and they don't have strong male role models. And Christianity has been declining culturally anyway. I think it's actually growing in terms of the number of people who are sincerely finding their way to God, but the numbers of people who like culturally go to church or culturally claim to be Christian has dropped off, and people aren't being raised in church families anymore, so they don't have. Let's say they were in a home without a father. At least if they're going to church, you're going to have a higher likelihood of having access to positive, strong male role models like older men in your church. And if you're not in that type of community, you just like, where are you going to find these role models? And so it's these young guys who are turning to these charlatans like Andrew Tate. Andrew Tate is he's sort of like the misogynistic red pill or whatever they call them. He's like that version of a televangelist, of an oily, greasy televangelist. Do you know what I mean? It's like you look at some of those phony, fraudulent televangelists from the 90s, and you're like, how did anybody fall for this? Well, Tate's the same thing, but for masculinity, right? That's what he's preaching. He's like, I'm selling you masculinity. It's like the furthest thing from it. Just like the prosperity gospel people, they're not selling you the gospel, they're selling you the furthest thing from it. I guess all it takes is a fancy, expensive Italian suit, a private jet, lots of these worldly things, and you can sell yourself as like a guru on masculinity or a guru on Christ. That's what people fall for, apparently. Some people. Randy Wallen. Thank you, Randy, for $10. Thank you for the super chat. So society, the church, grown men, etc., have let young men down for some time. Yes. Peterson appealed to them. Yeah, Jordan Peterson did. Could not stop JP. So now the lapdogs of New Right are promoting evil on the left's behalf. Yes, I couldn't have said this better. You said it so concise too. Thank you. That's exactly what's happening. I don't care if you call them woke right or new right or alt right, whatever you want to call them. But these phony conservatives, these phony Christians with large platforms who are out there saying like, yeah, let's put a pornographer and a sex trafficker and an abuser of women up on the pedestal. Conservatives, let's worship that. Do you know who that serves? It serves the left. It doesn't help people. It doesn't help these young men. Well, so why are they doing it? I think it's because, I guess it's because they're following what they think are the clicks and the money, the fame. I don't know. They don't have any integrity. They don't have any principles. Maybe they had this public mask and there's nothing real behind it anymore. They're just a mask. I don't know. But count me out. Count me out. Don't want to be a part of that. Oh, I got that one. Thank you, Force Light. Andrew Knapp for $5. Thank you for the super chat. Andrew says, allegations against Tate are nearly irrelevant in this context. Just believe what he says about himself. Thank you. That's my point. Again, you guys say things in a much more succinct fashion than I do most of the time. And that's exactly what I meant with some of these people arguing with me. And they're trying to argue about whether or not he's guilty of these specific convictions, these charges that he's facing. I don't know. I haven't read through all the legal documents yet. I've looked at some of them. I don't know if he's guilty or not. I guess we'll have to see how it plays out. But doesn't really matter to me because I know he's a piece of crap from everything he says and does in his videos and everything he posts. Do you know this is a guy who says this would sound laughable except it's real. He posts stuff. I'm not kidding. He posts stuff. Andrew Tate posts stuff that like he says like I am God. He says that to people. He says stuff like I am your Lord. I am your Lord. He says this to the men who are stupid enough to pay him money for his like become a pimp classes. He says to them, I am your Lord, and you're the loser who buys the stuff I sell. Like he's just open about it. I am God. He said, this is another one. This is real. He said, I am God. He says, I'm your Lord. He says, and people make fun of him about this pretty regularly, which I think is great. He tweeted once, I am the smartest man in the world. What? What? Sometimes when you hear, if you guys have ever had a cluster B person in your life, you've ever dealt with one, first of all, I'm sorry. But second of all, the silver lining of that is that I think it makes you better able to see through con artists and through sociopaths and narcissists because you've had experience with them. And even though it's very trying having dealt with people like that, if you have, I will say that sometimes they say some really funny stuff because they don't know. They're not normal people. And they don't know that that's like a weird, like who says that? Who believes that, first of all? And then who says it if you do believe it? But he says stuff like that. And he doesn't know like that people are going to be like, wait, what? You're God? You're the smartest man in the world? I'm sorry. If you've had a narcissist in your life, you know what I mean. Sometimes they say stuff that's so funny. And I'm like, I know some people who try and like, they try and like rehabilitate narcissists. They have a soft spot for people with cluster B. And they're like, I can teach them how to be a full human. Like I can teach them how to become like, not do those nasty, evil things they do or those overt things they do online. I'm going to write to them privately and explain, why that looked really bad and wrong. I'm like, don't do that. It's not I don't think it's going to touch their heart. You're just teaching them how to appear more human. You're just helping them be better grifters and con men. Don't tell them. Let them keep saying things like, I am the smartest man in the world. Don't tell him. Anyway, that I could read through those kind of statements from narcissists all day and just die laughing. Okay. But I've got a lot of videos to show you. So 2 more people to think and we're moving on. Brett. Hey, Brett. Good to see you. Dragon Believer for $2 says Andrew Tate is a political grifter. Well, yeah, I guess he is now because he says he's running for prime minister. Prime minister. And oh my gosh. Get this. So, it finally, I did a video on this. It's finally become big news that for decades now, the government, the media, the police, the social workers, everyone in the UK has been covering up this epidemic of these Muslim rape gangs. They call them groomer gangs, but the rape gangs of young children, of minors. And people who paid attention have known about this for years. There've been some very brave people speaking out about it. Some former police officers, people got fired and stuff for talking about it. But it's never become like international news where all the media was focusing on it until last week. It started to become news. And that was partially because Elon Musk, someone with a very large platform and a lot of influence, he started talking about it and sort of forced the media to talk about it. And so it became, the most talked about subject, I would say, for a few days. And Andrew Tate jumps on that and he starts saying that he's going to do something about it. This is himself a groomer, himself a sex trafficker, himself currently facing charges for sexual acts with a minor, himself a person who goes on video and beats women and then goes on video and brags about beating women. This is, how is he different? Also, he recently, in the past couple of years, converted to Islam, supposedly. I think this is I don't believe there was a lot of sincere thought behind that. I think it was more of a politically calculated thing that he did, but he converted to Islam. And let me show you this. He's suddenly changing what he's saying about Islam in the UK. Before we show the videos, this is just very interesting because now he says that he's going to be running for prime minister and that he's going to do something about these Islamic, sexual abuse gangs. Himself being a sexual abuser, which is weird. Look at this. Lots of people were pointing this out. This is someone called BLTCH Evaporate, I guess. Andrew Tate a year ago saying that England needs Islam. What changed? And you can see completely different statements from him. Wherever the wind goes, right? These people who are just like, whatever the wind is doing, I'm going to go there. Sorry, my light is doing something crazy. See if I might have to get up and fix that. Oh no. Anyway, I'm going to read this to you first. So this is him in November of 2023 saying, England needs Islam to save itself from implosion. Would you rather your son come home and say he's Muslim or that he's transgender? Okay, so he's like, needs Islam. And now in January of 2025, now that finally the Islamic rape gang story is broken, big, he says the UK will not be a tool for Islamists or Zionists. Both will be rejected. Okay, which is it? Political grifter. You're damn right, Brett. But before he was a political grifter, he was this sort of masculinity, prostitution pimp grifter. That's what he was before. He was just making money off of exploiting women and exploiting men, taking men's money. And now he's moved into politics, or trying to. Oh, here's another post from him, an older post before he changed his tune. Look at this one. This one's from July of 2023. He's talking about this building in the center of London's historic center, and about how this Muslim billionaire won permission to turn one of London's most famous landmarks into a mosque. And he says, this is amazing news. The only alternative to Islam for the Brits are pride flags. So he's saying you're either woke or you're going to become a Muslim. That's it. Those are your options. That's what Andrew Tate was saying. The only alternative to Islam for the Brits are pride flags, as they no longer have any innate culture or patriotism. Allah is the best of planners, and I look forward to seeing the Islamic Republic of Great Britain in her final form. And then Alhamdulillah, I don't know how to say, I'm sorry. Britain will be fully Islamic soon. Oh, okay. Now suddenly he's changed his tune. Why? Could it be because he thinks it's not popular to say that now that the Islamic rape gang stories came out? I don't, just wherever the wind goes, grifter. Okay. Hey, WDW Pro is here. Thank you for the super chat for $9.99. WDW Pro, you guys, I gotta have you back on. We gotta have you back on the Christian panel sometime. I really love talking to you. He says Tate giving political opinions is like asking El Chapo for cooking recipes. Oh man, mass rapists aren't worthy pundits. Just basing this on his statements. Yes, his statements, right? People are like, oh, don't listen to the press. I'm like, what press? I'm talking about what he has said. What he has said. Southeastern Kaiju for $5. Thank you for the super chat. Says, hate to ask, but is Tate peddling a kink? Or is he straight up a wannabe pimp? Is there a difference? I don't know. I have no idea. From the old videos I've watched, and some of those, I'm going to show you clips now. He was peddling how to be a pimp. Actually, during COVID, he does this video bragging about how much money he made off of men during COVID by selling these courses, and he called them PhD courses. Men, get your PhD, your pimping hose degree courses so he could teach you how to control women and make them prostitute themselves for you, to become OnlyFans models for you. He brags about how he would, the women, when they were on OnlyFans, he would disable their keyboards and he would be the one typing all the disgusting, dirty messages to men to get them to give more money. So he was also, that's kind of gross. He was sort of catfishing as women and talking all nasty and sexy with other men, which is like, what? That's an alpha male for you, pretending to be a woman and talking sex talks with other men. That's what all alpha men do, right? Am I right? But yeah, he was selling sort of a, I will teach you how to be a pimp like me. You guys, this light, we're just gonna let it go because I can't figure out how to actually. Give me 1 second. I am gonna try and fix it, and then I'll be right back. My husband has a rehearsal today with an opera singer. So in a few minutes, you guys might hear some opera in the background, which will be a nice little treat while we talk about this degenerate Andrew Tate. I'm just telling you now, if you hear music, that's what's happening in the other room. Okay, let's look at some of his videos. I've got so much stuff pulled up. We can get back to some of it. I do want to show you, don't let me forget, I want to show you Benny Johnson doubling down on hosting this guy. I want to show you Candace Owens and the crap she said about it. But I promise you, I really want the people who were arguing with me, a lot of them young men, and saying, he's a good male role model. I want them to see these videos. I don't know if they have. And if you have friends, if you know young men who are emulating this guy or saying that he's a good guy, I want them to be able to have a place to go, or a place that you can point them to, whether they watch it or not. That's like, hey, look, did you know this is what the kind of stuff he does and sells? So this is AG Hamilton, 29. He says, there are so many videos of Tate admitting to abusing and exploiting women that I find it hard to believe there's anyone out there who doesn't realize that he's a lowlife. Some people simply don't care. Not for the faint-hearted. This is the real Suzanne Winter shared this. Not for the faint-hearted. This video is the reason I started my campaign to expose Tate. Like most, I didn't have a clue who he was until he was arrested. I started to do a bit of digging and I came across this awful video. Andrew Tate needs to be outed and imprisoned. Now, this video we're about to watch is him. Some people have said, how do you know she's not consenting to all of this? Maybe it's a part of their sexual role play. I don't care. She is consenting. This is disgusting. And I don't think she is. Here, viewers be warned. We're about to watch something. It even says right here, warning, some users will find this content distressing. Okay, here we go.
What do you matter about, woman? Bruises, why? Why? Beaten with what? With what?
You have
A belt because you're a jerk. Show me the bruises. 1, 2, 3. Oh, baby. Oh, poor thing. I have an idea. Some ideas? You want to know my ideas? That's right, lock the door, you knew I was going to beat the out of you. If you behaved, I wouldn't have to hit you, would I? You don't. Get out. You can't stay in there forever. What are you mad about?
So he's asking her, why is she crying? Is it because of the bruises? Oh, poor baby. Show me the bruise. He makes her show them all. Then she runs to the room and he's like, oh, you ran in there because you knew I was going to beat the F out of you, didn't you? Okay, there's one. Here's one. This is a conservative alpha male who's gonna, what did Trump's lawyer say? That idiot, he wants to make things right. This guy. Megan Basham shared this one. I've seen a lot of people are sharing these clips in different places. And like I said, MilkBarTV and Murder by Crayons are the best places I've seen in terms of documenting all of it. If you want to see long, like 1 and 2 hour videos, I definitely check out MilkBarTV or go to the Twitter feed of MilkBar or Murder by Crayons. Okay, so this is a clip that Megan Basham shared. She says this video warning extreme content is something Andrew Tate himself recorded. The resurgent right cannot be successful if it is trying to accommodate someone like this who has shown no repentance, zero repentance for this stuff. Let it be known. There are non-Christians also coming into my comments and telling Michelle from Force of Light phrased it well the other day. When a non-Christian tells you how to Christian, right? A non-Christian's coming in and going like, oh, so you're saying nobody can change? Oh, so you're saying that's not what I'm saying at all. God can change anyone. The Holy Spirit can change anyone. But redemption requires repentance. Duh. It requires a repentant heart. Is there any evidence of a repentant heart from this man? No. I beg of you, is there any evidence of it? Watch this guy.
They didn't teach you in self-defense? Here's a little move. When I grab you by your neck and you start annoying me trying to resist, and I just, and then I grab you by your neck again. Then what the fuck are you gonna do when your face is collapsed and your fucking cheekbone's broken? You ain't gonna do shit but cry.
I guarantee I changed the way you look at sex forever. You're gonna be fucking crying. I won't cry. I bet you cry, bitch. I bet you fucking cry. You're saying I wouldn't cry. You're challenging me to a fight. You're saying I can't hurt you. You're out of your fucking mind? I don't even have to fuck you. Forget the sex part. That's a distraction. My dick can stay in my pants. I'll just start beating the shit out of you. How about that? We walk in the bedroom. I start kicking your ass. No sex. No sex involved. But you cry then.
I perfected this in pimp school. When I got my PhD, we had to practice if a girl comes at you, you cheater, you're cheating. It's bang out the machete, boom in her face, and grip her up by the neck. Like, shut up, bitch! Her panties get wet. Machete's on the floor. Her panties are all wet. You go, fuck her. That's how it goes. Slap, slap, grab, choke, shut up, bitch, sex. These are the basic moves of pimping.
So this is part of the stuff he sells to morons, to losers, let me be a little more empathetic. To lonely men who've grown up in a culture that demonizes men and demonizes masculinity. And this is the Pied Piper selling them a snake oil and parting them from their money and teaching them, he's talking about his PhD. That's what he called his course that he sold to men, bragging about how some of them paid their life savings. They kept paying for more and more courses on how to get your PhD, your pimping hose degree, which is all these clips of him talking about how to beat up a woman. Here. Okay, this next one. This clip is him beating a woman on camera. This is the woman in the court documents known as Vivian. That's not her real name. And she's one of the ones that there are pending charges of him having performing sex acts on a minor. And she's one of those women. Now, according to Tate himself, he said that this video was recorded in 2012, which would have made her 15 years old in this video. 15. Okay. The Misfit Patriot shared this. He said, I found a clearer video of Tate beating the shit out of one of his, quote, hoes. If any of you morons think this is role playing, you're effing lying to yourself. This is behavior that doesn't go away without a drastic lifestyle change. And from what I've seen, he's still the same guy as he's always been. I used to support him until he started his genocide bullshit. I can still disagree with someone on one thing and think they're redeemable. So I became indifferent to him. But this shit, though, this is irredeemable. He's got you all fooled with the Matrix coming after him. Oh, yeah, he's trying to paint himself as a victim. I saw some of you in chat saying that, too. He's trying to be like, I'm a victim. It's false charges. So this guy says he's got you all fooled with the Matrix coming after him, but maybe they're trying to put him in jail for human trafficking because he actually did the shit that they're accusing him of. He's innocent until proven guilty on that, but he's not innocent of this, full stop. Okay, I'm going to warn you about this one because allegedly, according to Tate, Vivian, not her real name, would have been 15 in this video.
Did I say the word listen? You stupid bitch. Word listen. Did I say the word listen? You stupid bitch. I didn't say the word listen. Did I say listen? Did I say listen? No. Look at the camera. Listen. Did I say the
That's it. There's more. I'm not playing more of it. That's enough. You get the picture. Rosa, I've seen this one. Hard to watch. It makes my blood boil. Yeah, it does. It does. It makes me want to cry. It makes me want to cry because you know what? Because they are pushing this campaign for some reason to prop this guy up and praise him and try and get conservatives and even try and get Christians to, like, I don't know, get on the boat with this guy. And they're counting on those people not having watched this stuff. And so what does that require? Well, it requires us to watch this stuff to show people, like, no, look at this. So people shouldn't have to. People shouldn't have to. It's just disgusting. So, as I mentioned, the woman in that video, allegedly 15 years old while that was filmed. And then here, Murder by Crayons has some more information on her in this part of the pending charges. Murder by Crayons says the victim in the video is Vivian, not her legal name. Andrew Tate has been charged with trafficking her as a minor. She was 17 in 2014 when he put her on webcam, like on one of these sites like My Free Cams or OnlyFans or whatever, to make money for him. She was 17 when he started doing that with her. The video that you posted was made in 2012, according to Andrew. You can do the math, so she would have been 15. Her age has been confirmed by her home country and by this porn site, My Free Cams, that he was putting these women on. My Free Cams has cooperated with authorities and also confirmed her account and when it was created. And you can see this is a part of some of the charges that he's facing. Trafficking of minors, act provided and punished by Article 211, Paragraph 1, et cetera, et cetera. In relation to the victim, her name's been redacted, consisting in that starting from 2014 and until such and such date of 2021, the named Andrew Tate taking advantage of both the victim's obvious state of vulnerability, being a minor at 17 years old, lack of life experience, lack of family support, as well as by misleading regarding the intention to establish a relationship of love and marriage and cohabitation. Let me pause here for a second. He puts this in his videos. I think I have a clip of this repeatedly in his courses that he's selling to men. He and his brother Tristan, they do in their courses that their PhD courses for men that they sell, teach you how to be a pimp. They tell you, I'm going to teach you how to get a woman under your control and dominate her. I'm going to teach you how to deflower a virgin. They say stuff like that. And they say, you have to pretend to be her boyfriend. And they have this whole method and tactic that they use where you take advantage of you pretend to the woman that you're in some kind of boyfriend-girlfriend relationship when you're actually, this is part of their method for getting the woman to eventually do porn for them. And they say this is a way to get women who would otherwise not do, like if they don't want to do OnlyFans for you and make money for you on OnlyFans, this is how you get them to eventually do it, is you start off by pretending to be their boyfriend. And they go into details about that, about like, if I've got a lunch date with my male friends, I bring her along. I don't have to change anything in my life. I just bring her to all these things and she thinks we're dating. But so it says this here. Misleading her regarding the intention to establish a relationship of love, marriage, cohabitation, and the existence of real feelings of love. But the falsity of the feelings of love results from the fact that the named Andrew Tate in the same time interval was recruiting several victims through the same method. They call it the lover boy method. It's and they put that here in the complaint. The lover boy method recruited and named so-and-so whom, after gaining her trust and making her fall in love with him through coercion and emotional blackmail, sexually exploited her by determining her to engage in pornographic manifestations for the production and dissemination of pornographic materials, respectively, to practice video chat activities on the video chat platforms MyFreeCams and OnlyFans for his material benefit. They also brag about how all the money goes into their bank accounts, and then they would decide how much they pay the women, and it was some crazy below minimum wage amount of money that they were paying them. Also, during the period of sexual exploitation, the named Tristan Tate, so his brother, repeatedly transported the victim from the territory of Great Britain to Romania and provided her with shelter in several locations, both on the territory of Great Britain and on the territory of Romania. So he was involved as well, according to the charges. Here we're going to listen to some audio. There's hours and hours of this stuff. I'm just showing you guys some clips. So the next time somebody tells you, I don't know what you've got a problem with him for. He's a strong male role model.
And I became a multi-millionaire. I did this by creating a webcam studio, by taking girls who didn't know how to be effective on webcam, girls who had never done webcam before, girls who didn't have the equipment, didn't have the know-how, didn't have the will, didn't have the premises, didn't have the ability to make money with this exchange. I created a system that allowed me to convince girls to do this, allowed me to retain 100% control of their income, allowed me to make sure they were effective, because it's a super competitive industry. Don't think this is easy money. You're just going to put a girl on the camera and they're going to get rich straight away. No, it's very competitive and it's very difficult. I learned every tip and trick it takes to make sure a girl gets paid. I know how to make sure the girl can't run away, because once you teach a girl how to do this, she has the ability to make unlimited money from home. Why would she still give it to you? Why does she just run off and keep it all for herself? Why are you getting your percentage? I learned how to do everything.
So he's got to teach you how to control the girl so she can't go away and keep her money. He says that he has access 100% of her money to her bank account, right? So you got to teach. He's teaching men, supposedly. I don't think any of these men actually become like him, you know, making these multi-million-dollar amounts off of pimping hoes, so-called pimping hoes. But he claims he's going to teach you how to do what he does, which is, he says, he learns how to control these women, basically emotionally hobble them so they can't get away and just keep the money for themselves, right?
Pimping, you pick up a girl, but if you get a high value asset like a girl, because that's what a beautiful woman is. A beautiful woman's a high value asset. It's like having a Ferrari. You walk down the street with a beautiful woman, it's like driving a Lambo. Everyone's staring at you. Yeah. So if you pick up a high value asset, in the pimp game, you need to learn how to control her and retain her. You need to make her do as you say, and you have to keep her. Yeah. You have to keep her regardless, in spite of the fact that you cheat, you're busy, you take all her money, you make her do something she doesn't want to do, and she still has to stay with you. So to me, that's what the game was. To take a nobody and make her a somebody.
This is just... I can't. Who are you people who are defending this piece of crap? Who are you? Oh, look, there's some in the chat. Let's look. Who are you? Nabble Vlogs Greece. Here's one. Y'all know he's not convicted, right? Yeah, Nabble, welcome to the show. We covered that earlier. In fact, we've been saying charges, not conviction. I don't care if he's convicted or not. I don't need him to be convicted in a court of law to know that he's a piece of crap, to know that he's immoral, he's a weak man, he's an abuser, he's an admitted abuser and groomer. And he sexually exploits women and he scams men. Maybe he scams you. Maybe you gave him some money. And that's why you're like, here defending him. Are you a tater tot? Is that what you are? Oh, no, he's not convicted, right? Yeah, I do. Don't care. Here's one. That's showbiz. So the argument is that Benny is just as bad. Is it? Did I say that? No. So let's cut that out of your sentence. Because he platformed someone. Sounds like a leftist paradigm. No. You know what's a leftist paradigm? That show is a leftist paradigm is saying that morality is relative, that there's no way to make any kind of value judgments or moral judgments or principle judgments whatsoever, that there's no such thing as good and evil, that there's no such thing as right and wrong, and that when we see someone engaging in degeneracy and being sold to us as somehow on the right side of history, or doing the right thing, or making things right, or being sold to us as a positive male role model, that we're supposed to shut up, that we're not supposed to say, hey, wait a minute, that's a degenerate. That's a leftist way of thinking, that there's no right and wrong. You do your truth, I do my truth. Anything goes. How could we possibly say something's immoral or not? I don't know. Are you a Christian? If you're a Christian, you go to what God says. You do have an authority. If you're a Christian, you're supposed to know on what your morality is based. You're not, if you're a Christian, you're not a moral relativist. You're not one of these like, what is up? What is down? What is good? What is bad? That's leftism. Southeastern KG for $2. Thank you for the super chat. Says, not innocent, but presumed so in a court of law. Yes, exactly. Presumed innocent until convicted. Yes. But is innocent, you're talking about in the legal sense, but is he innocent in the moral sense? No, not at all. I'm talking about, is this guy a moral role model? Is this a good guy? Is this a guy that we should be telling young men they should want to emulate and look up to and respect and be like this guy, and that he's strong? This is a strong guy. No, not at all. And I don't think you could think that unless you've never had ever a strong man in your life in any capacity. You don't know what they look like. You don't know what a strong man of character looks like. A man who is unbendable. A man who has confidence. Confidence is different than ego. Ego is weak. Ego is so weak and fragile, it has to tell you how important it is. Ego is all the kind of stuff Tate says about, I'm the smartest man in the world. I am an alpha male. He's always having to tell you he's an alpha male. You know, I know a lot of alpha males. They don't have to tell anybody. They don't have to tell anybody. We know. It's like the leftists who they have to tell you that they're empathetic because they're not. They got to tell it in their bios. I'm an empath. And they're behaving like monsters. But they're I believe in kindness. Thanks for telling me, because we wouldn't have been able to tell from your behavior. Thanks for putting in your profile. That's what he reminds me of. He's like that. He's like, I must let the world know I'm an alpha, because otherwise, how could they know? Justifiably stupid. Thank you for the super chat for $10. Says, please speak to the women who throw themselves at the drug dealer, at the pimp, at the Justin Trudeau. How much do women age 16 to 24 contribute to their own degradation? Why do most women get tattoos? I do. I don't know if you're new here, but thank you for the super chat. And I do. I'm not one of those people who is, I don't understand really. And I really dislike it when people don't seem capable of seeing that they are the exact thing that they hate, like they're the monster that they fight. And I see that a lot with people who, like the feminists who blame men for everything, or these kind of red pill masculinity guru frauds who blame women for everything. They're both mirror images of each other, where they're like, it's men's fault. No, it's women's fault. Like, no, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. I have talked about this. Don't mind doing a show on it in the future. In fact, I've written a couple of essays to my younger self, things that I would say to a younger woman about it. And it's a great suggestion. So thank you. I just saw this and it was intriguing. I don't know what this is about. The Next Country says Neil Gaiman is finally being exposed now too. I have no idea what that's about. But I've met him a couple times. It's a long story. Back when I worked in entertainment, I don't know what he's being exposed about, but you can bet I'm going to go read about that later to see what that's about. Okay. What else do we have on this topic? I feel like I don't want to show too many of these videos because they're so dark and gross. And who wants to watch this kind of stuff? But I've got people in my comments telling me he's a great guy. So, okay, let's watch a couple more. Just a couple more. Okay, so this is him talking about how to be a pimp and control women so they obey you. Okay. By the way, this guy, somebody told me they thought he was attractive. I actually don't. It's not a joke. I don't get it. I don't think this is an attractive man. Not my type anyway. My type is more like Johnny Cash. So I don't, yeah. But I could see it being somebody's type. I could. I'm not going to pretend that he's not somebody's type. It's just in terms of peak attractiveness. No. Okay. I don't like men in tank tops either. So that's not helping him here. Okay, here we go.
I was all about trying to get paid. Like I used sex as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house to make me money. That's what I wanted. So I was a pimp in that sense.
Being kickboxer, yeah, playboy, pimp.
I'm happy with those labels so far. But the majority of my money wasn't made in fighting. My money was actually made in the pimp game. We need to understand some basic concepts to the pimp game. Basic concepts to the realities between men and women. Women need a man to do OnlyFans. It's the same reason a woman need a man to do anything, because they're incompetent and they're very, very lazy. They're stupid. When you're pimping bitches like me, it's a full-time job. So yeah, on CobraTape.com I have my PhD program, and that is PhD is a pimp and hose degree that I'm.
Did you see the loser way he did that? I'm sorry. Look at this guy on the right. This is Andrew Tate. This is the guy he's a pimp, guys. He's a pimp. Here, I just want to watch that part again because it's such a loser energy.
On CobraTape.com I have my PhD program, and that is PhD is a pimp and hose degree that I'm.
Alpha male right there, ladies. How could you resist? Somebody in the chat said he has a very weak chin, and that who said this? That they're calling him a chinsel, like incel, but chinsel. That's hilarious. Good grief said that. That I love puns. That's really good. Okay, we'll continue.
Look at the camera and smile so you can see the crazy. Welcome to the Tate PhD course. If you've bought this course, which you obviously have, congratulations. You're going to change your life for the better.
Congratulations. I just took your money because I successfully swindled you. I mean, that's what he should say. Successfully swindled you. And later, I'm going to mock you in a different video. He does. He makes fun of these men.
I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm fucking certified. I know I don't look like a pimp right now.
Clever.
That teaches basically how I got girls, how I met girls, how I got girls to like me, how I got girls to fall in love with me to work on webcam for me. If you're on dates and you're trying to mention it and shit, it just doesn't work. It puts them off. I'd never do that. That's disgusting. I'm not a whore. It's just not going to work. You continue as normal, no mention of webcam. By taking girls who didn't know how to be effective on webcam, girls who.
Sorry, I was muted. He's telling you that he's promising men that he's going to teach you how to take women who have no interest in doing porn, how to turn them into a woman who will do porn, not just do porn, but do it for you and give all the money to you. That's what he does. So he says he's going to teach you how to do that. I saw something funny. Yeah, Jacob Castro over at Rumble. Imagine paying money for this. I think that's why. Have you guys ever heard of the sunken cost fallacy? I think that's why some of the people, the tater tots, get so angry when they're defending him, because I think they've probably given him their money, and there's this thing called the sunken cost fallacy, and it's this thing about the more money or the more time that you invest in something, the harder it is to get out of it because you've already sunk so much into it, right? And think about this: we've probably all experienced this in one way or another, be it in a job that we didn't like, but we've been there a long time, we've invested so much in it, right? Or a relationship that wasn't going well, or but it's been a long time, I've sunk so much into it, or money on renovating a house. I'm kidding. I love renovating our house. It's not sunken cost. But that was something that came to mind. I've seen the movie Money Pit. Anyway, I think some of these guys honestly get very emotional about it because they've probably sunk costs into him, like actual costs, like giving him money, but also spent a lot of time and put a lot of faith in him. And so they it's really hard to convince a man that he has been kind. There's a quote, and I'm blanking on it, but if somebody remembers it, Dion's not here today, I don't think, but Dion's the queen of quotes. There's a quote about how a lot of people would prefer to keep on being conned than to have to admit that they were conned. And just look at the way some people reacted during COVID, and the ones that who are still in that la la land, or the people who got conned by woke who haven't left it yet. It's almost like they would prefer to just continue being conned than to have to face reality. It's weird, but I think that's going on with him.
Who had never done webcam before, girls who didn't have the equipment, didn't have the know-how, didn't have the will, didn't have the premises, didn't have the ability to make money with this exchange. I created a system that allowed me to convince girls to do this, allowed me to retain 100% control of their income. You start with a girl, you download OnlyFans on your phone, you take her ID pictures, her name, everything it takes to verify the account, you verify the account on your phone, and you control the account. So you are now in charge of her OnlyFans. I learned every tip and trick it takes to make sure a girl gets paid. I know how to make sure the girl can't run away.
And of course, they don't go out. They're not allowed out. You stay in the house.
Because once you teach a girl how to do this, she has the ability to make unlimited money from home. Why would she still give it to you? Why would she just run off and keep it all for herself?
That's right, lock the door, you knew I was going to beat the out of you. If you behaved, I wouldn't have to hit you, would I? You don't. Get out. You can't stay in there forever.
Bang out the machete, boom in her face, and grip her up by the neck. Like, shut up, bitch! Her panties get wet. Machete's on the floor, her panties are all wet. You go, fuck her. That's how it goes. Every real G knows these basic moves. These are the basic moves of pimping.
Because that's what I did. That was my MO, was find girls, make them love me, and make them work for me. And that's how I got rich. So that teaches everything I know from start to finish about.
He's just so open about it. Like, this is how he made his name, his fortune, his status in life. This is why I guess some people are afraid to criticize him, because they want some of the access he has, the same way that people were afraid to say anything about Harvey Weinstein. Afraid to criticize Harvey Weinstein because, oh, he might put me in a movie. Oh, he might give me access. He's got money and fame and power. And I guess that works for enough people who are like, let me have him on my show and praise him and pamper him because he might give me access. He might give me some of that power. He on his Twitter account, let me take this off the screen for a second. He's currently been tweeting about how, like, he will give you a BMW. Sorry, it's just funny. He gave a reporter a BMW for apologizing to him, and he's like, if you apologize to me, I might give you a BMW. And I guess it works for enough people where they're like, I don't know, but they're like, oh, I might get this guy might use some of his prostitution money to buy me something or to do something for me. It's that sort of access. But he admits freely where that fortune came from, which is abusing women, pimping women from pornography. It's so funny because we mentioned Candace Owens earlier. I'm sorry to take that off again. Candace Owens has lately been doing a lot of posts about how the Jews are responsible for porn. It's all the Jews. It's just the Jews, right? The Jews. They're responsible for porn. They're pornographers, all this. And then she's like best friends with this dude, buddy, having him on, tweeting at him all the time, defending him, defending Benny for platform, not just defending Benny. Let's be clear, attacking people who were disappointed in Benny having him on the show in the way that he did, in the praising way that he did. She's attacking those people. She's lying and manipulating and gaslighting and trying to pretend like if you use your free speech to say, I'm disappointed in this choice, you're somehow against free speech. She's always posting about the Jews and pornography, but she has this pornographer. He made all of his fortune, he says it right there, off of porn, off of coercing women into porn, using the lover boy method to make them think that he was their boyfriend, and then get these women who didn't want to do porn into doing porn for him and lead them down this life. This is what he says. This is what he says he does anyway. And she's cool with this pornographer. It's so weird. It's so weird.
Not only getting girls, not only obtaining them, but retaining them. 10 hours of me explaining everything I know from start to finish from my career as a webcam pimp.
Really
You were the pimp.
I was the pimp.
But now we're coming towards the end of Corona. I'm going to keep like 5 or 6 of my main girls.
Hey, don't forget, my girls were making us money too. Don't forget that.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Let them take full control over their account.
This is the brother. He's the one who just jumped in and said, my girls are making us money too. It's not just my older brother. By the way, so Andrew Tate recently in the past couple of years said he's the one here on the left. That's his brother, Tristan, on the right, also facing charges. So Andrew Tate says he's now a Muslim, right? This guy on the right, Tristan Tate, says he's a Christian. He's now a Christian.
Let them take full control over their accounts. They will run away. I like to keep the girl's passwords. I log them in and log them out. If you give the girl the password to her account, there's a chance she could run away and try it by herself. I've had that happen. Be in charge of her own phone contact with members who like her. You are setting yourself up to get scammed. All she has to do is type a sort code and account number to a member. And that has happened to me before. I went to the room, smashed the room up, told her I knew what she did. She sent me all the money, but that has happened to me before.
No. I was doing the exact same thing, just for the record.
So there, at the end, you get a little bit of the brother saying, don't forget me. I'm doing all this too. Lily of the Fox Valley, this is psychopathic. Yeah, it is. It is. It's sociopathic. It's psychopathic, however you want to define it. It's disgusting. It's cluster B behavior. It's all of that. It's an abuser right out in the open, and being celebrated by these highly influential accounts, some of whom claim to be conservatives or claim to be Christians. It's weird. Why are they doing this? Floral from under a rock. Hey, good to see you, Floral. I'm so sad that I missed your show last night. My husband had a show in Stephenville, so I hope it was a good one. So Floral from under a rock for $5 Canadian. Thank you. Says, for a Christian to platform Tate is to profane Christ's name. It's not that Benny platformed Tate. It's that he and Habba celebrated him. They did. They celebrated him. They fanned. She said, I'm a fangirl. I'm a big fan. They fanned over him. They praised him. They pampered him. They perfumed him and propped him up. What is that? What is that about? It's disgusting. Telcor says the exact reason that Candace would not endorse a porn site would be the exact same reason she should despise Tate. The exact same reason, right? And yet she runs so much cover for him. She's done entire shows trying to gaslight people into thinking that he's some great guy. It's disgusting. I just thought this was interesting. One of the guys who's done a lot of the research on Tate, as I mentioned, MilkBarTV, Nathan Livingstone. This was an interesting little tidbit. I told you there's videos in these hundreds of hours of footage, videos of them bragging about and making fun of the men that they've scammed and talking about. In one instance, I saw they were talking about how men will give their life savings, to them to get more access to the OnlyFans or to get their stupid pimp classes or whatever. And so they have these, this is interesting. Andrew Tate and his brother Tristan actually made large bank transfers under the names Pimpin', Hustlin', and Pooh into a bank account that was called Goose Famoose Ltd. Famoose, they called the account Goose Famoose, okay? They called it Goose Famoose. Famoose means to swindle or take advantage of a person or a group of people. These persons are often referred to as the goose or the geese that are being famoosed or being fameased. And you can see this from the some of the indictment, the names of their bank accounts. Then they called it Goose Famoose Limited. They opened an account under that, swindling people. They're just, they think it's funny. They think it's funny. Hey, men, if you gave them money, they Goose Famoosed you. And they put it into their Goose Famoose account. They swindled you. Hey, Raphael, it says very good topic today. Blood boiling also. I guess my message is like, to anybody who would fall for this, like this sort of rehabilitation of these sex abusers image, Andrew Tate and Tristan Tate, anybody who might fall for it if it's coming from a large platform or influencer that you used to trust, or that I used to trust in the case of Candace Owens, and you're looking at it and you're like, oh, I guess he's not a bad guy or whatever. Like, no, do your research. You know how we learned we couldn't trust the mainstream media? We had to do our own research. I don't know when that was for you. For some of you, you've known forever or a long time. For me, it's more recent. It was 2016 or 17. Actually, it was before that, because even when I was like in the leftist world, I knew not to trust the media when it came to selling us the Iraq war. But at some point, you've probably had that moment where you realize, like, the mainstream media, the cathedral, it's entirely corrupt. They push propaganda. They're not the friend of the people. They're the enemy of the people. And we started to find all these different people online that we look to for information and different sources and a diversity of voices. At least I did, listening to all kinds of people. And over time, like, you can start to whittle that down a little bit. The list of people I used to like really put a lot of I wouldn't say faith, but trust in, or it's gotten smaller, and that's a good thing, because as people revealed themselves to me, it's like, oh, okay, I'm glad I know that about you now. You're going to try and sell this pimp to me and tell me he's good for conservatives and he should be associated with conservatives and MAGA? No, I don't want to buy it. Thanks. No, thank you. In the marketplace of ideas, I choose not to buy this product. I choose not to buy this idea. I'm going to take a break from the disgusting Tate videos, and I want to show you this. So after people, as I said, a lot of people, this was the positive thing that I saw happen. So many regular folks just piping up on Twitter and on Facebook and telling Benny Johnson, like, why would you do this? Why would you pamper this guy and prop him up and praise him and give and flatter him and give and push him on us, really? And that was really positive to see that. And somebody asked, how did he respond? Okay, well, this is how he responded. I think it's very telling about him. Somebody earlier who I responded to what they said in the chat, they were like, oh, so because he platformed him, he's as bad as him, which, by the way, I didn't say that. You said that. I didn't say that. And then he said something about like, I can't remember how he ended it, but the point is, my opinion, I didn't form an opinion on Benny, who I didn't know very much about, just because he put this guy on and praised him and pampered him and perfumed him and kissed his butt. That's not the only thing. I actually went, as I said at the beginning, and I did a lot of research on Benny because I didn't know much about him. And I'm like, why would he do this? Maybe he's just naive or something. I don't know. And so I looked into him, and that's when I found all of the plagiarism evidence and the firing from BuzzFeed and all of the accusations of stealing smaller conservatives videos and stuff. That's when I found all of that stuff, which gave me an even broader picture of who he is. So, you know, it wasn't that one thing, but this was part of one of the things that I evaluated in forming my opinion on Mr. Benny Johnson was how he replied, how he responded to his viewers who were telling him, all these people in the comments saying they were disappointed. This is how he responded. He doubled down. He said, if you're upset that people you disagree with have conversations, you need to find a different year to live in. It's 2025. Censorship and deplatforming is dead. People can think for themselves. We are free. Grow up. And this is just hilarious to me because he's doing, this told me a lot about him actually. A dishonest, manipulative person and a childish person. That's what it told me. Not a wise person, not a strong man, not a man of confidence. This is a manipulation. This is a reversal. So, because here's what I would say to him, and I think I did say something to him. Yeah, we are free. Yes, we are free to speak our opinions too. So grow up. Take your own advice, Benny. Grow up. We are free. We can think for ourselves. We are free to say it's extremely disappointing that you brought on this disgusting degenerate and you claim to be a conservative Christian and you're pushing him on us. You're saying you're trying to rehabilitate him and sell him to MAGA, I guess. Why are you doing this? We're free to say that. It is a new era. We can say that. We can talk back to the mainstream media and we can talk back to large platforms and influencers, alternative media. We can tell you when we think that you're selling us a sack of shit. And if you don't like it, guess what? Grow up. That's how free speech works. You can say something. We can say something back. We can say what we think about what you said. That's how it works. It's not censorship to tell you what we think. In fact, you seem to be very displeased that people are telling you what they think. It's almost like you want to shut people up. Weird. That's how he responded at first. And then this really, in my opinion, gross thing that he's been doing is every day now he's been posting the same way the Groypers and the Nick Fuentes degenerates would post Christ is King when they would spew their racist anti-Jewish hatred, which they've done it in my comments. Don't tell me they don't do this. I'll say they'll post a whole string of disgusting curse words and call me and other people names and call people Jews as if that's some insult or something and say go suck some Jewish COCK and then and then they say Christ is King. They defame God's name. They try and pervert it and use it in that disgusting way. They're not behaving like Christ. They're not behaving like Christ is King. And so he's been the past 2 days anyway, just posting like Christ is King or posting Bible verses that people are like, is this advice for yourself? It should be. This was a great one. And I love he got a community note on this. The community notes is like more familiar with scripture than Benny Johnson is. This is what he said in response to the criticism. He who is without sin cast the first stone. Okay. It's not stone casting to expose the works of evil, to expose darkness, to call evil evil and to call good good. That's what we're commanded to do. That's what we're commanded to do. I'm going to read the context that was added, but my response to this, and a couple of my friends had great things to say. I was like, exposing the works of darkness and taking no part in it is not stone casting. Everyone is capable of redemption, which requires repentance. You just showed you either do not understand that verse or you purposefully are misrepresenting what it means to try to silence people who were rightly critical of your part in propping up a degenerate, exploitative, charlatan, and predator. I think you just told us a lot about yourself, actually. You don't think about that verse. He doesn't think about that verse or this one either. And then I shared Ephesians 5:11-14 with him, which says, take no part in the unfruitful works of darkness. Take no part in it, but instead expose them, for it is shameful even to speak of the things they do in secret. But when anything is exposed by the light, like in public, expose it. It becomes visible. Anything that becomes visible is light. Therefore, it says, awake, O sleeper, and arise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. He's trying to tell people not to expose the unfruitful works of darkness. He's trying to like double down on taking a part in the unfruitful works of darkness. Propping up and pampering this pornographer, this abuser of women, this guy who scams men and sexually exploits women and what? And people are supposed to read this and I think anybody who reads this and has any attachment to scripture is immediately like, again, when I mentioned how sometimes like narcissists like Tate will say things and they don't realize that how it's going to land. He said it when Tate said, I'm the smartest man in the world, for example. It's like, what? You think anybody who has a sincere like attachment to scripture is going to read this and go, oh, okay. No, it's the exact opposite. I read this and I'm like, what are you doing? Twisting scripture to try to keep darkness hidden? It's abhorrent. So this person in the chat who was asking how I formed my opinion of Benny, this was a big part of it, was how he responded. Not with humility, but with hubris. And then this one from Candace, since people were talking about her response. Here, let's put it up here. Oh, I told you I was going to read the community note on his. Let me read that first. I don't know if you can still see this. Readers added context. Jesus said this when forgiving a woman who was about to be stoned for adultery, but called for repentance, saying, go. He also said to her, repent. He said, go and sin no more. Right after that other part. Andrew Tate has never expressed any repentance. Recently, he also refused to accept a woman's apology for comments that she made about him. Oh, yeah, that's relevant. You got to see this. This is gross. I've got links to this too. So, I mentioned that there've been all of these last week, finally, the cover up in the UK was exposed on a large scale in the media, in part due to Elon Musk, who has a lot of influence talking about it. The cover up of these Muslim rape gangs with thousands and thousands of child victims. The media was finally talking about it, and Andrew Tate then says, he's going to run for prime minister and he's going to do something about it. What? He's the same as those guys in terms of moral character. I'm not talking about what he's been convicted of. I'm talking about moral character. He's the same. And so one of the victims of those grooming gangs in the UK, her name is Samantha Smith. You can read about her and her story. She's been speaking out about it, what her experience was like, I think since the age of 5. It's a really horrific story of what happened to her. And so she said something critical of Tate. And in it, she called him, I think it was something like a rapist and alleged sex trafficker, or maybe it was the other way around, alleged rapist and sex trafficker. Anyway, she only used alleged once. And so he on Twitter threatened to sue her. She is the victim of one of these UK rape gangs. And she's talking about how similar this whole Andrew Tate stuff was to what she went through. And so he threatened to sue her. And so she apologized and took the tweet down. And I've got to read you her apology because it's heartbreaking. And in response to her apology, this is what Andrew Tate said. He said, the female, that's what he's calling Samantha Smith, the survivor of one of these UK Muslim rape gangs. He says, the female has decided to apologize and be quiet, but has refused to give me a sandwich. Therefore, I will move ahead with legal action and I will hold her liable for defamation. My brother and I have been convicted of 0. Calling us rapists results in legal action, no exceptions. And you can't see her full apology here. So she apologized, which he was demanding. And he says, sorry, doesn't count. He makes some stupid joke about not giving him a sandwich. He thinks that's an appropriate time for this joke. He doesn't know how to spell sandwich either. idiot. I thought he was the smartest man in the world. I just look, the smartest man in the world doesn't know how to spell sandwich, but okay. Anyway, he makes a joke about a sandwich and he says, I'm still going to sue her. And this is, by the way, look at the wording of her apology when she took the tweet down because she was afraid that he was going to bring a lawsuit against her, I guess, for not using the word allegedly. She says, FYI, I deleted my post on Andrew Tate. I'm barely 20 and have spent the past few days reliving the worst years of my life in the public eye. That's because this whole grooming gang scandal in the UK broke wide open, right? She says, that does some shit to you. Have some grace, please. So, Andrew Tate, you can stop the threats of legal action. I'm sorry. I'm quiet. That last part kills me. That last part kills me. If it was just the rest of it, fine. But at the end, the way she says, I'm quiet. Like she's used to saying that. Do you know what I mean? And in response to that, he says, doesn't matter. I'm still going to sue you. He makes some joke about a sandwich. And just overall, like, if you don't know the character of this guy through these interactions, like, you are blind. You're blind. Blind. Okay, so let's come back to what there was Benny Johnson doubling down on pampering and propping up this predator, and then the other person with a very large amount of influence and platform who was doing so was Candace Owens. And so here's her bit of manipulation and gaslighting that she threw on the fire. She says, the people who have made their careers purporting to care about the free market of ideas and speech are now all telling Benny Johnson that he shouldn't speak to Andrew Tate. Take note, conservatives. Yeah, take note. Take note, conservatives. I did respond to her, and I think it's I'll just read it because I don't know if I could phrase it as succinctly if I'm trying to do it from memory, but I said, the marketplace of ideas is not communist. It's not communist, Candace. No one is forced to support or buy your bad ideas. That's why it's called a marketplace. It's the free and open exchange of ideas. No one's I don't have to buy your ideas. I don't have to get on board with them. No one is forced to support or buy your bad ideas or to stay silent when your bad ideas are championed or to give a voice to your bad ideas. In an open and free marketplace, we get to choose. We get to choose what we support and what we criticize. We get to believe in objective truth and objective morality. We get to make moral and value judgments about what is good or bad, about what is a wise decision or an unwise one or a disappointing one. It sounds like you're the one who doesn't understand that a free and open marketplace allows both you and other people to choose what we criticize and what we support. We get to choose. And that just disgusted me to see her trying to twist this and turn it into some kind of like, if you use your free speech to criticize, to offer righteous criticism, if you use your free speech to say you're displeased or you're disappointed, that somehow you're the one against free speech. No, you're trying to shut up critics. That's what you're doing with manipulation. Not buying it, not buying that bad. That's not even an idea. That's just manipulation. I'm not buying it. So yes, take note, conservatives, about who's doing that. Okay. I'm trying to see with what time we have left. I've been going about 2 hours. I'm trying to see what I want to cover. There's some just like funny, ridiculous things. Oh, I mentioned I'm not gonna show anymore. Actually, let me show you this one short one. I am gonna show you this one. Okay. So I mentioned MilkBarTV has a lot of great video. They've compiled like 2-hour long documentaries on him, where if you want to go and watch more footage, you can. I've shown you the bare bones. So in the hopes of, being able to inform people who maybe didn't know, who is this guy that they're selling to us now and telling us is a great guy. Like, this is who he is. And or maybe you already knew and you have people doing to you what they were doing to me, when these tater tots coming in and saying, like, he's a great role model and you should listen to what he has to say. Okay, we did. We listened to some of it. Here, listen to this. This is a short clip from MilkBarTV. It's not one of the hour or 2 hour long ones. And this is one called Andrew Tate is a fraud and a scam artist. This is a compilation.
First off, how long ago was your webcam business?
Oh, and this is the really flattering, image rehabilitation sit down that Candace did with him.
Yeah, so I stopped having any involvement with it, I think 8 to 9 years ago.
The last 2 to 3 years, I've been making money on OnlyFans from its inception all the way up till now. I'm currently filming this during the COVID pandemic. You may be watching this later on.
So it's just him. It's him. It's Andrew and Andrew. It's Andrew proving that Andrew's a liar. It's Andrew proving they're using clips to show he's a liar. So he tells Candace he stopped doing it 8 or 9 years ago. That's a lie. Here you are during COVID talking about running your webcam business. Liar.
First off, how long ago was your webcam business?
Yeah, so I stopped having any involvement with it, I think 8 to 9 years ago.
The last 2 to 3 years, I've been making money on OnlyFans from its inception all the way up till now. I'm currently filming this during the COVID pandemic. You may be watching this later on, but right now during the pandemic.
If you're just listening and not watching, this is one of his tweets from the year 2020. So at the time of the Candace Owens interview last year, he said, oh, it's been 8 or 9 years. Well, no, 4 short years prior. He was tweeting, last month was great for Cam and OnlyFans. 8 girls generated me. What did they make him? They made him $551,000 US. He says, I'll give them a couple thousand each. That's how much he pays them. I'll give them a couple thousand each and keep the 500 grand. This month is looking to be even better. Notice it's Dr. Emery Tate now. I have a PhD. Get yours here. And then he's selling PhDs. He's running one of those PhD mills, those scams for the people. Again, there's a lot of narcissists who like to just go and acquire that doctor in front of their name. They go to these PhD farms and look, he's running one. Get your PhD here. I'm a doctor now.
And I ended up opening a webcam company where girls would sit on a laptop and they would talk to guys on the internet for money. That's what they would do.
It's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm taking over. So what I did is I unplugged their keyboards and plugged a new one in from me behind the screen. So the chicks would sit there and hit a keyboard that wasn't plugged in. And me and my brother, and eventually some staff I trained, would do all the talking.
The girls would sit there fully clothed or a bikini.
The girls were just pure, just famoosers, just laughing and doing this, their titties out.
One, I intimately understand the relationship between men and these websites.
And they were talking to fucking ice cold hustlers. We were taking their money, all of it.
I've had and seen men give away their life savings to girls they've never met. I've watched and I've seen it.
This is him bragging again about like taking men's money. And this is the part I was mentioning earlier where he admits that, or according to him, he unplugged the girls' keyboards and he was the one writing and sexting all the flirty stuff to get these men to give more money. He was so very alpha male stuff, right? To write all this sex stuff with other men.
They come and say, what kind of, all of it. We're fucking milking them dry.
And I actually think a lot of the insights I give.
I had these guys selling their houses, life savings, loans, all of it to me. Give me it all.
A lot of the things I tell the world about the male mental health crisis.
You'd have a guy.
Feel bad or no?
Fuck no. Give a solitary fuck.
About men being so constantly lonely.
We got to the point where we had these guys falling in love with my models. Serious, big time in love, right? Sending crazy money. And they were convinced they were going to meet the chick. This is almost where I kind of felt bad.
About how important it is to build yourself into a high value man.
Because they were like, can we meet? I've sent you $200,000. Can we meet? Can we meet? Can we meet?
About how money alone is not enough.
What was the most that one person sent to a model? Total.
Million?
Wow.
About $1 million in about a year?
You don't feel bad at all.
Why the fuck would I care?
I don't feel bad either.
So thank you.
So it's not just the women. I've seen some people saying, that a lot of the people pointing out what a monster he is are just talking about, him abusing women, grooming women, the some of these women being minors, like all the stuff he brags about. But it's also the men, and I agree with those people. It's also the men. This is him on camera laughing about men, giving him their life savings, their houses, selling houses. He said, one guy gave $1 million, like his whole, like people giving their whole net worth to him. And he's asked repeatedly, you don't feel bad about it? No, not at all. Why the F would I feel bad? Doesn't feel bad at all. Like just it's scamming men too. This isn't good for women or men. This is not a men versus women thing. This is a predator and a con artist. Do you think that he, it is going to pick, I'm only going to exploit this gender? No.
I explain all these things. A lot of these are lessons from the webcam days. I saw dudes who had a whole bunch of money, no other attributes, and they ended up on these websites spending hundreds of thousands of dollars because they didn't have anything else.
But so the girl would be online for 6 or 7 hours, but then when she logged off, was sleeping or whatever, on her WhatsApp, I'd have staff. She was online 24 hours a day. Her WhatsApp, her this. She was famoosing when she was asleep. We were bringing in money from the fucking sky.
But this is what the powers that be want. They want to make sure that the male populace is as docile as possible, and they do that with a large array of weapons, and they do that with a web of tools. And I believe that I'm the counter to that, which is the reason I ended up attacked in the first place.
And maybe this is a bit bad. Here's where the famoose would start. So it'd be good. Like, I had a lot of girls who worked for me, and the best was like the Ukrainians or the Russians. It was amazing because they get some guy falling.
By the way, remember, he keeps talking about the famoose. Famoose means swindle. He's just outright admitting this is how the swindle would start.
It worked for me. And the best was like the Ukrainians or the Russians. It was amazing because they get some guy fall in love. They'd arranged a day to meet, all this shit. I need a visa. Okay, get a visa. I need money for a visa. Okay, how much is the visa? It's $900. No, but it's not $900 because I went to the embassy. They think I'm a risk, and I need a return flight there and back. And I need a hotel. I need to have spending money in my bank account. They won't let me come. Or how much you need? All right, 10 grand. Boom, it's 10 G's. Okay, thanks. Wow. Go to the embassy, take a picture outside the embassy. Boom, come back. They rejected my visa. They said we have to wait 2 weeks. After 2 weeks, they'll give it to me. Okay, baby. Boom, 2 more weeks of tips. Boom, 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 boom. Because now he thinks he's gonna fuck, right? He thinks we get the girls. Now he's spending more than ever. 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. 2 weeks come. Some other problem.
I think I can anticipate the question you're going to ask. How do I reconcile?
That's a scam. That's a straight up scam. Guys, especially if you gave this guy money. Do you hear that? He's out. He's just saying, this is how I did it. This is how I got the guys to give more and more money. I would make the girl pretend that she's going to come see him, and he would have to give her all this money for a visa and flights. I'm putting that in air quotes. And then she would say, okay, it'll be 2 weeks and then I'll be there. And so then he starts giving more money because now he thinks he's going to get to see her in person, give him more money. He's like, and then in 2 weeks, there'd be another problem. Like it's a total scam. And he's just no shame at all. Like, here's how I rip off men.
With the fact that I used to produce pornography or degree pornographic content.
Now men are writing to you, like, how do I?
And now men are trying to escape it.
Yeah.
Girls are desperately signing up because it's the easy way for you to make money, but without instruction. Pimping can. A hoe without instruction is headed for self-destruction. So these girls, they don't have a man telling them what to do properly. They're lazy, and they end up making a few bucks, maybe if that, and they stay on the very, very bottom of the pile. You don't want that. You bought this course. You want to make your money back, and you want to continue to make money for a long time. So you want your girls to be elite. I'm going to teach you how to do that. Eventually, the girl, what she would do is she'd say, oh, I don't want to go embassy. She'd give a really lame excuse to try and provoke the man to get angry. So she'd say, the embassy want me to come back, but I have a headache. That was the one we'd use. He'd be like, I just sent you $1 million. You promised you were going to come. You said you had to delay. Now you're saying you have a fucking headache and you won't go to your appointment, to make him mad on purpose, because that would annoy any man. And then that's what we needed. We needed a little trigger. We go, why are you being aggressive? I'm not being aggressive, but you're not serious. Da, da, da. And then we'd say, but you know what? I really like you, and I'm flying to the other side of the world by myself, and now you're being aggressive, and now I'm intimidated. And we'd flip it on him, saying, well, now you're being scary. No, I'm not being scary, but you know, it's your appointment. You're supposed to go, yeah, but I feel sick, and you don't even care. Female bullshit. Bullshit. And flip it on him. Flip it on him. And he'd get fucking furious because we were really good at fucking poking him. To the point where you go like, you're a fucking scammer. You fucking scam me. You're really mad. I can't believe you think I was a scammer. I was going to come. I went to the embassy. You're a fucking liar.
You should avoid, if you're a dishonest person, if you lie, if you're going to deceive me, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. I don't want to have anything to do with you.
The guy would get pissed off, right?
But it's incredible, right? He's sitting there saying, if you're going to deceive me, if you're going to lie to me, I don't want anything to do with you. while he brags all the time about deceiving men, getting them to part with their life savings, with selling their houses, getting them to sell their houses, and detailing how he does these scams, how he runs these scams. And so he's exploiting the women and the men, and he's proud of it, doesn't feel bad about it. Like all, but wait. If you scam him, if you lie to him, he doesn't want anything to do with it. He's got standards, not him. You know, don't do it to him. Everyone else is fine. He can deceive and scam all he wants. What did he say in his tweet? I am God, right? Just full of it.
And leave. Stop tipping her. Stop coming to her. But for these men, that's the only chick in the world, the only hot chick in the world who talks to him. Maybe it takes a week. Maybe it takes 2 weeks. Maybe it takes 3 weeks. He's in bed at night, alone, jerking off, looking at her old videos and pictures, watching her stream again from another account so she can't see it's him, sitting there going, maybe she was going to come. Maybe I just got too mad when she had a headache. Maybe I should have been a little bit more patient and she would have been my girlfriend. And 100% of the time, in less than 3 months, they'd be back with an apology, a brand new pile of money, and the cycle would repeat. We fucking killed the game. Millions of dollars a week. And it was not just because I had beautiful girls. It's not because webcam is easy. It's because I am a genius. And I put together an apparatus of genius behind the avatar of beauty. And we fucking conquered the internet. It's all massively hypocritical.
There's that narcissism coming out, right? It's because I'm a genius. Well, I'll give you this. You are a successful con artist. Yes, you are, sir. You're up there with some of the greatest con artists in the Christian church that, you know, who cloak themselves in Christianity. You cloak yourself in masculinity and being a pimp and what have you. But yeah, you're up there with some of the biggest grifters. That's true. Very successful. Okay. Whew. It's like after watching this, it's almost like watching true crime. I feel like I need a shower now. It's like so disgusting. I feel like you just even watching him, like I couldn't imagine associating with such a piece of crap. Because just watching him makes me want to go like get a fresh start on the day, like take a shower and go to the gym, do something, because it's like that's filthy. It's filthy. He's filthy. Rock Lexicon for $20. Thank you for the super chat, Rock Lexicon. Good to see you. He says, contrast two controversial figures, Tommy Robinson versus Tate. Both are demonized. One has lost his freedom and reputation for trying to expose child exploitation in the UK. He's talking about Robinson. The other exploits minors and then claims that his arrest is persecution. Yeah. I think that's a great summary. Although I will, with this caveat, I haven't done a Tommy Robinson deep dive. I haven't seen anything awful about him, but I'm just not that familiar with him. I know who he is, and I know that you know what he's trying to do. I'm not confident enough to say like this is what I know or think about Tommy Robinson. I haven't done the deep dive on him that I've done on Tate, but I think you're right. Just based on my limited knowledge. Cheeky Mare. Hey, Cheeky Mare, get up. Cheeky Mare in the chat, the mod. Here she is. She says, for $4.99, thank you for the super chat, says the same people who saw Jack Murphy for who he was are now falling for Tate. Make it make sense, right? By the way, I did not see him for what he was until all that stuff came out. I interviewed him way back in the day on my old podcast, back when he was talking about brotherhood and strong families and all that. And you know, when all of that came out, people rightfully so were like, what a massive double life. What a massive hypocrite. And you're right, Cheeky Mare. It seems like there were a few this time around who they were willing to say that about him, about Murphy, but this time they're all about rehabilitating this Tate guy's image for some reason. I don't exactly know. I guess maybe he's a higher level of access and power, and I don't know what. You tell me. Why are they doing this? Russ Williams talking about the Andrew Tate clips. All I'm hearing is psychopath. No actual emotions, zero remorse, skilled manipulation of emotions. Yes, absolutely. Him talking about how he ran that scam over and over on different men of pretending like they're going to get to see the girl. The girl then comes up with excuses, then intentionally provoke the man to anger. So then they can manipulate him emotionally and say, oh, well, I was going to come, but your anger stopping me. Like all of that. It's psychopathic. And no repentance, no concern for these men and what he did. They ask him outright several times, do you feel bad about it? No, he says, why the F should I feel bad? Mark, great quote, Mark. He's got a piece of scripture here. He says, watch out that no one deceives you, for many will come in my name. Many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah, and will deceive many. That's true. Thank you for that. John, did all the tater tots run away? Are they trying to figure out the correct way to spell sandwich? 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 I don't know. I didn't see. It was hard for me to pay attention to the chat, and I saw a few things here and there, but I didn't see. I don't know if they all left or not, but oh, James, I don't know if James is talking to me or someone else. Oh, I think he's talking to someone else. James says, I don't care if immoral people get conned. I guess you do. Well, that's an interesting question. I mean, I don't care as much. I don't care as much as I do about good people getting conned. That's true. But I think I should care about all people who get conned, even the ones who, like the kind of guys, somebody in the chat I saw said the kind of guys who buy this stuff are the same ones who are paying to go and do these disgusting demonic sex gangbangs with the OnlyFans models. Like there's one today I saw, she's doing some kind of video or just did a video where she had sex with 1,000 men in a day or something. And it's just demonic. And so do I care if guys like that get conned? I do, but I have to sit on it and think about it a while, James, because my response of the flesh, the Adam self or whatever, some Christians I've heard them call it that, is to be like, why would I care that, that person's going to throw their spirit away, their soul away. They're going to dirty it. So why would I care? But there's that part of you that's not of you, like the spirit. And if you can get into that place, yes, I do feel empathy for people like that. Not all the time. I have to sit on it for a while sometimes. Sometimes you have to pray. I think this is why the Bible talks about praying for your enemies, and why people who are much wiser than me, strong male role models in my life, have counseled me to pray for people who I don't have natural empathy for or as much empathy for. I think that part of the reason is because if you practice prayer, and if you've ever practiced it, maybe you're new to Christianity and you're trying to practice it, it is like an exercise, like going to the gym. I've said that before, but it's a spiritual exercise, not a physical one. And the more that I pray for people that I maybe don't have natural empathy for, or people who are evil or have done me wrong or done others wrong, like I do start to develop some empathy for them. That doesn't come from me. I don't think it comes from me. It humanizes them in a way where you start to see them as a victim of themselves. It doesn't mean that you excuse what they do to people or that you refrain from calling their evil evil. It just means that you can find within yourself, I think, an empathy that comes from God for people who are like lost and hurting themselves. And it's sort of like, there, but for the grace of God go I. I was lost. I was hurting myself. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yes, Rosa, again, somebody in the chat says it more succinctly than me. She says, we're supposed to love our enemies and have mercy for the lost. We were all lost at one point. Yes. And Russ has the Alexander Solzhenitsyn quote, the line between good and evil runs through the heart of every man. Yes. Mark, if he can pardon me, anyone can be redeemed. There was a tweet we read earlier about Tate and how the stuff he was doing was irredeemable. Actually, I think God can redeem anyone, but redemption requires repentance, requires it, and redemption bears fruit. You see the fruit after. If he were to become a changed man, everyone would see it. Everyone. When when God saved me, it was like, that's why I refer to my old life as my old life. It seems like a different, it's like God gave me a new heart. Everyone saw it. It wasn't just a change in like my belief system. It was a change in my behavior system. Like everything changed. Even the way I look, my countenance changed, I think. You know, it's like this sort of, you can't help but see it. Andrew Tate doesn't have any repentance. He doesn't feel sorry for what he's done to these guys. He said so. Thank you, Michelle, for the super chat for $4.99. Michelle says, lots of parrots. Again, it's an easy environment to manipulate. Just say the right talking points. Right. It's easy to be a con artist, I guess, if you have no principles or standards or morals, and you don't really care about anything, and you think that you're God and nothing's above you and anything goes. In the pursuit of things that what matters to Tate? He talks about it all the time. Himself, money, sex, fame, power. I mean, that's it. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. I appreciate you guys being here. I hope I did just a good, like, dipping the toe into the disgusting Tate waters. Enough of it so that you get the idea. Maybe you didn't know who he was before. Maybe you're starting to see him being pushed on different platforms and you're like, who is this guy? I'm telling you, there's so much more out there. If you want to, go and check out Murder by Crayons on X. Check out MilkBarTV on X and on YouTube. They've done several documentary style videos just full of Andrew Tate's own words, videos you can judge for yourself. And I would highly encourage you to check those out. And I'm really grateful for all the people who've just been saying, no, I'm not going to, this is not a good idea. This is not a good idea, certainly for the people who are advising Trump, like his lawyer, to embrace this guy, to put him on some pedestal and to say, I'm a fan girl, I'm fanning over you, you know, but it's not a good idea. And I'm really grateful for all the regular folks I see who, as they learn who Tate is, are like, no, this is what's going on. This is like helping the left. You're not going to tie this guy to us like a stone to our ankle. No. Therese, great show, Keri. We need to expose all the evil, misguided ones. Have a good week. Have a good week, chat. Thank you, Therese. I'll see you guys. Let's see. What's today? Monday. I got my new gigs going, my new schedule going on. I'm always trying to figure out what day it is based on what job I was doing this morning. Today's Monday. So I will see you guys on Wednesday night for a Popped Culture. I need to double check with Mystery Chris. And I'll let you know what that's going to be about. But I'm pretty sure we're doing a pop culture this week. And that'll be fun to get to hang out with him after Christmas and the New Year. And yeah, appreciate you guys. See you later. Take care. Bye.